Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Lori and today I want to share with you my process for packing and planning for a pen show. This Friday I am flying to the Netherlands and attending my first Dutch pen show. I've only been to one other pen show and that was the Orlando pen show in 2023. This is a different vibe from that because it's a one-day show and I need to travel internationally. So planning for Orlando was a little bit different than planning for this trip. I know when I attended my first pen show, I didn't really know what to bring. I think there are a lot of videos, a lot of helpful videos out there on kind of how to maneuver at the pen show and tips and tricks. I did give kind of a recap video after I went to Orlando, but this time I want to talk specifically about the stuff that I'm packing. And I don't mean like clothes and outfits. I mean my stationery stuff. Like what am I actually bringing to the show and what is the thought process that goes into that? So if that sounds good to you, stick around. We're going to jump right into it. This might sound funny, but the very first thing that I did to prepare for packing was to actually clean my desk area and to gather up all of my fountain pens and notebooks that are spread throughout my house and put them all in one area. So I could really take a little bit of an inventory of what I had before I started to even think about what I wanted or what I was planning for, things that I wanted to buy at the pen show. One of the very first things that I know I am going to do once I get to the pen show is to make a reservation or reserve a spot to have some custom nib grinding done. I prefer to do this in person. I have sent away for a custom nib grind before, and when I got the pen back, it was good, but it wasn't exactly how I wanted it. And my first experience in Orlando was with Kirk Spear. I thought it was so valuable to be able to go back and forth with Kirk while I was sampling the nib grind he was doing. So when he was done with a step, he'd hand it back and he'd say, what do you think about this? And he'd watch the way I wrote and then he'd say, give it back to me. Or I'd say, maybe I want it to write a little bit wetter, and he'd take it back. So there was a lot of back and forth. And what happened was I ended up with a pen that was really perfect for me. So I personally really like to do custom nib grinds in person. So one of the first things I wanted to do was to identify a couple of pens that I wanted to get a custom grind on. The two pens that I'm going to bring with me to the Netherlands is my first Montblanc 149 in an extra fine nib. This is vintage. I actually bought this at the Orlando pen show. It's a beautiful pen, it's an extra fine, and I just want it to be a little bit more of a wet writer for me. I had a huge selection of 149s to choose from, and I tested a bunch and I really just connected with this pen. I just loved everything about this. It would have been ideal if it had been a medium nib instead of an extra fine or even a fine nib, but I like the pen so much that I took the extra fine knowing that I could get a custom grind down the road. So I might do a cursive smooth italic on this, or I might just see if it can be just tuned a little bit to be made more of a wet writer, but I'll probably do something custom with it. And the other pen that I'm going to have a custom grind on, I've been waiting to do this for a while, is this Visconti Homo Sapien that I bought when my dad was sick, and this is a very special pen to me. But when I first got it in and it wasn't writing exactly as I wanted it, I don't think I got a bum nib. I know Visconti has a bad reputation sometimes for quality control. I think the nib is fine. I just don't love it. I got a medium nib and I just think it could be a little bit better. I have a nib on this vintage Senator pen. I've spoken about this pen quite a bit. I think it's just a fine stub nib. I'm going to bring this pen with me and see if the Nibmeister can look at it and then maybe grind these two pens in a similar fashion. When I first got this though, I was really apprehensive to have any work done to it. I was a little gun shy when it came to nib grinds. I was just nervous because it was such a special pen. 1 year later, a year and a half later, I feel just the opposite. I feel like because it's a special pen, I want the nib to be absolutely perfect. I'm more likely to be more accepting of a nib that is not like my absolute favorite on a less expensive pen. That's just the way that I think. So these are the two pens that I'm taking with me. I also tried to identify a pen pouch that would work for the trip. My friend Vanessa suggested taking an empty pen case so you can fill it with pens when you get there. I think that's a really fun idea. Right now I just have this little Galen leather pouch that is a 4-pen pouch. I'm probably going to add one more pen to this that I will bring with me, but this will not be the case that I plan to bring pens home with. In fact, Galen Leathers is going to be at the Dutch Pen Show. Their booth is one of my stops that I am making a priority because I want to get some of their products, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. But you can think about, do you want to buy a new case when you're there? Do you have a case that you're not using, or that is a great travel case that you might want to bring with you? Do you plan on buying 1 pen? Do you plan on buying 10 pens? And how is your packing going to work into that plan? Identifying the pens that I wanted a custom grind done to at the pen show was a very easy beginner step for me in prepping for the show, because I don't want to leave home without these pens. I definitely want to have these worked on in person. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping to get a custom nib grind done with Annabelle from Apple Boom. That brings me to my next point. If you do want to get some custom grinds done to your pens, you should try to go onto the website of the pen show and try to figure out what the schedules are for the nibmeisters who are there. I think at the Dutch Pen Show there are going to be 4, and I believe that Annabelle, because she's booked in the morning, she's somebody who I'd really like to get some FaceTime with. I'm going to try to see her in the afternoon, so I have to plan my day accordingly. When I was in Florida, the very first thing that I did was go to Kirk Spears' sign-up sheet and made an appointment to sign in, and I started to look at some of the nib grinds and get an idea for what I might want to have done to my pens. I had 3 or 4 pens worked on when I was in Orlando. And I think in that recap video, one of my regrets was not taking more pens, because I realized that I had some pens I was just not enjoying because the nib wasn't to my liking. When Kirk worked on them, it just totally transformed the writing experience. And I had these pens, one in particular, a Visconti Venus. I was like ready to throw it away. It was that frustrating of an experience for me, and it's now one of my favorite writers. So having a custom nib grind can really transform a pen. So just do your homework, figure out who is there, who's taking appointments ahead of time, go online, check out the venue. Sometimes they even provide maps and you can see where in the ballroom or the area of the pen show those nibmeisters will be. And if that's a priority for you, then get there first thing and, work on scheduling your appointment. Another little tip for if you're going to do a custom grind is to clean those pens out before you go. It's just easier to hand them a clean pen, in my opinion. And I think when Kirk was on Juicy Broads, he confirmed that he would prefer to work on a pen that did not have ink in it versus having ink. And I think pens generally travel better when they're not full of ink as well. So I mentioned looking at the schedule ahead of time. The Dutch Pen Show just released their vendors today on Instagram. I think it's been on their website, but maybe this is like a finalized list. You can go to Instagram or you can go to the website for the pen show and you can see who some of the vendors are. So 2 specifically, I'm really interested in seeing in person. Again, so much of our shopping for pens is done online that it's such a treat to be in person. It can be overwhelming with the amount of people and vendors and action going on at a pen show, that if you really do want to see a specific vendor or brand or nibmeister, you really have to prioritize it, because the day can go by so quickly, things can fill up fast, and so you just want to make sure you get to visit the people you want to visit. So I would really like to visit Luca from Scribo Pens. I'm thinking about getting another Scribo while I'm at the Dutch Pen Show, because it's going to be a great opportunity to have someone from Scribo in person. So I made that a priority with my budget. I know what Scribo pens cost, so I have to put some money aside for that. And I know that that is a table that I want to visit. The other company, as mentioned, is Galen Leather. While I'm out there, I am hoping to get some notebooks. Typically, I use Leuchtturm notebooks. These have been my notebook of choice for over a year. And this particular book is 20 pages from being full. I looked at it this morning. So wherever I am at, I usually write about 2 pages every day. I'm going to end my morning pages before I go. So I'm going to actually leave my morning pages at home. So I'm hoping to get a few notebooks from Galen Leather. and some of their leather products as well. I'm sure I will look at, and it's just so nice to be there in person. Galen Leather is a company out of Turkey, so once again, this is a treat to be able to see people face to face. I think there are close to 100 vendors that are going to be at the Dutch Pen Show. I'm just mentioning 2 here. I guarantee there will be some pen makers and some products that you just didn't see coming that will blow you away. Items that you never knew you needed until you are in front of them. So it is important to stick to a budget if that's important to you. I'm also teaching a workshop at 1 p.m. and this is a 1-day show. So I have to budget my time even more carefully because I'm teaching. I'm also going to be jet lagged because they are several hours ahead of us. The pen show starts early in the morning, so I'm going to be a little sluggish in the morning. So I have to really think about all of those factors for this particular pen show. Where in Orlando, they're on East Coast time. It was a 2-day show. No, actually, it may have even been a 3-day show. I think I went to 2 days. The Dutch show being just 1 day, I feel like puts a little bit more pressure on me to make sure that I get to all the places that I want to go. One of the other tips that I have for when you're bringing stationery with you is, for me, I like to remove any heavy cases around just because it weighs down my luggage. And I am a shopper. I know I'm going to come home with a lot of stuff, so I just don't want extra weight that I don't need. So I'm probably going to leave this leather case behind and just bring my sterling A6 notebook. This is also something that I write in every day, so I don't want to be without this. So I will be packing this with me, and I just do daily reflections in this. I usually do just 1 page at the end. I also showcased some of my artwork that I'll be doing in my workshop in this particular notebook. So I want to make sure I have this as a sample for my workshop if people want to see some of the things that I've created. This is a little flower that I made. So it'll be nice to have this with me because I'll be sharing my work with the group there. Aside from my morning pages and this notebook, the only other notebook that I plan to bring, and I'm actually going to assemble this with you today, is a small passport traveler's notebook to carry with me during the pen show. So when I was at the Orlando Pen Show, I just had this little insert that I was carrying around with me, and I didn't really know that I was going to end up creating pen show notes. But that's what I ended up doing, and I really like the idea of this, so I want to continue this for all of the pen shows that I go to. So this is Kirk Spear's business card, and then these are some of the nib grinds that I tried while I was sitting at his table. He had TWSBI set up at the table, and each of the TWSBIs had a different nib grind. I do believe that Kirk has added to this list, so it'll be interesting. I don't think he's going to be in the Netherlands, but I will probably see him again in Orlando this year. But this was really helpful for me. You know, even looking at it several months later, sometimes your taste will change in nib sizes. At the time, I wasn't very interested in the cursive smooth italic. I'm a little bit more interested in that nib grind now. And then I actually wrote notes over here about the nib grind. So I said, Kirk worked on 3 of my pens. He did a custom Waverly on this Esterbrook SD, which was an extra fine lilac pen. I really love the way this writes now, funky little tip. And then I drew a picture. It's kind of like a fude nib. It tips up, and I drew a little picture. And I wrote with that particular pen so I could see what it looked like afterwards. He also turned this Knox nib on my Mayora Alpha to a broad nib. It's so juicy now. I love it. Lastly, and most impactful of the 3, he brought my Visconti Venus back to life. I had largely given up on this pen, but now I absolutely love the way it writes. As I look back on these little entries, it makes me smile because I, first of all, remember the pens that he worked on, how I felt afterwards, and then what they looked like. Next up, I talked about a Zodiac pen that I bought. This was on my list. This was part of my planning for Orlando. I knew I wanted to get a Zodiac pen from Bart. I just didn't know which one I was going to get, but that again was one of the first tables that I went to. I bought the Zodiac pen designed for the Orlando Pen Show. It's a Pisces model. This pen is so glossy and smooth. Love the swirls of navy, cream, and gold. There are even a few hints of purple. Reminds me of a stormy day. Love the unique shape. Bart is such a sweet guy. All of that is still true today. This was the first time I bought a maker pen in person. A lot of the maker pens I like to try out in person and see all the beautiful resins right in front of me. So that was really exciting. And then last but not least, my notes from that particular day were when I bought my Mont Blanc 149. So extra fine nib, bicolored, early 1990s, split ebonite feed. Sid, the 24-year-old med student, helped me choose this beautiful pen. I'm thrilled to now own this pen. That was a big pen on my bucket list. Sid has also been a guest on the Juicy Broads live pen show. It's so funny, I call him the 24-year-old med student in here, and now I just know him as Sid. So those are my notes from Orlando, and I plan to add to these notes while I'm in the Netherlands, except I want to get a little bit more detailed while I'm here. So I'm going to show you some of the inserts that I'm going to bring, and then we will actually assemble the notebook for the Dutch Pen Show at the end of this video. So stay tuned for that. I am also going to be creating some content while I'm there. Vanessa and I are going to be live at the pen show. So I need to bring my laptop with me. So I have a backpack that I'm going to fill with all of these products. Yesterday on our live show, Joost Appelboom was our guest, and we were talking about the Dutch Pen Show, and something I didn't know that he shared with us was that he doesn't want people to wear backpacks. He said shoulder bags or crossbody bags are the best because it gets so crowded that if you're wearing a backpack, you're like bumping into people. And I was planning on bringing a backpack. I'm going to bring it anyways, but I'll probably just leave it in my room. But for the actual pen show, I'm going to bring a crossbody, and I'm also staying in the hotel, so you can keep that in mind as well. You can travel a little bit more lightly if you're staying in the hotel where the pen show is being hosted, because I can run upstairs to my room at any point, dump stuff in the room, and then go back down if I need a little respite or if I want to take a break, get some water, that sort of thing. Just FYI, if you happen to be going to the Dutch Pen Show, no backpacks. Okay, I want to talk about a wish list because I think this is really important, and this is how you can kind of attempt to stick to your budget. Even just as of this morning, I didn't know the prices, but Appelboom went live with Esterbrook. They announced a collaboration, which I knew about, I just didn't know the price on the SD that is exclusive to the Dutch Pen Show. It's about $100 more than I thought it was going to be, so I have to budget that in. And there's also a Leonardo that is more expensive than I thought it was going to be. So right away, these two pens that I knew I wanted because they were the Dutch Pen Show exclusives are both a little bit more money than I thought they were going to be. So I may have to move around some of the things I was interested in. One of the things that I need to consider while I'm at the Dutch Pen Show is, are some of these pens available at home that I could maybe use like affiliate credit for or a discount code for that I could maybe wait on? This is why the exclusives have so much appeal to me, because this is something that I will be in person. It will be a memory attached to the event. I do like getting pens for sentimental reasons. This is my first time going to the Netherlands. It's my first time at the Dutch Pen Show. So I definitely want some of those pen show exclusives. You may not, it may not be your thing, but those are definitely priorities for me. The question is something like Scribo. Is it going to be worth just maybe trying out a bunch of different nib sizes, looking at the Scribos that are new, that are made out of ebonite, talking to Luca, and then maybe going home and ordering it? Would that be better for me, or would it be best to buy it at the show? I don't know the answer to that right now. It really is going to come down to like what things cost there. Both Appelboom and Goldspot have discount codes that you can use. Actually, I think Van Ness is where I got my first Scribo. I have one in the cart at Goldspot right now, but those are three companies that I look out for because I know they carry Scribo. I am an affiliate with Atlas, but Atlas does not carry Scribo. I may choose to buy it in person or from another online vendor. So decide if you want to buy it in person. Is it something that you're not going to be able to get outside of the show? These are all things you want to consider. I do definitely think it's important to at least give yourself a budget so you can make choices while you're there. There was a limited edition sailor pen from Germany that I was interested in getting, and one of the vendors was nice enough to let me know that he could get it for me, but it was still going to be like $475 US, and that is just not worth it to me. This was definitely more of something I was just drawn to because of the looks of it, but I think I'm going to pass on that. So making these decisions, because these items are expensive, whether it's a $50 pen or a $500 pen, it's our money that we're bringing to this event, so it's important to just decide what you want to do with your funds. And having a plan can prevent you from maybe making a spontaneous choice that you might later regret, or you might think it's the best decision ever. I'm not here to say whether impulse buys are good or bad. I, in fact, just this morning made an impulse purchase when I saw the Esterbrook new pen that was released with their collaborations with Bunga Box, and I just had no self-control, impulse purchased it, and now that is tapping into my Dutch pen show budget. So all of these things come into play, but that was a pen I loved and I knew it wasn't going to be at the Dutch pen show, so I went for it. I am going to put together my little traveler's notebook with you to share with you like my plan for how I want to use it at the pen show. However, if you just don't want to go through the hassle of bringing a traveler's notebook, because they can be kind of bulky and you're trying to lie them flat, it can be a pain sometimes, you may just want to bring a notebook. I'm going to bring this campus notebook, and it's just a good size and it takes the ink pretty well, so I can do some samples on here that I might later put into my traveler's notebook. This is small enough, however, that it will fit in my crossbody bag, and if there are some inks that I want to sample, I could have this with me. I know in Orlando they had a table set up outside of the ballroom that you could just sit down at and try different inks that had been donated from some of the vendors. I wish I had a record of so many of the inks that I had tried, because once you walk away, it's hard to remember exactly what an ink looked like if you're looking for something specific. So this is something I didn't do in Orlando that I do plan to do at the Dutch Pen Show, and that is to keep a log of inks that I'm sampling. I tend to overbuy in general. I bought a few bottles of inks at the Orlando Pen Show rather spontaneously, and one or two of the inks I really never reach for. Both of those inks could have been purchased online. I wouldn't have to travel with them. I'm actually going to be flying. So when it comes to inks at the Dutch Pen Show, I need to be very particular about what I decide to take home with me. So I think that keeping a notebook of the inks that I sample will be helpful, whether I purchase them in that moment or just take them home and have them to reference to maybe purchase at a later time. Maybe just getting a sample of it will be enough for me, and then I won't feel compelled to buy it because I'll have a reference. I can look and see what's available online. There is typically an exclusive ink, and I know at the Dutch Pen Show there is an exclusive ink from Robert Oster, and the theme of the Dutch Pen Show is Sugar Rush, and the color theme is pink. So I have seen images of this. In fact, the workshop that I will be teaching, part of what people are registering for, everybody is going to get a Kaweco pen. I don't know the color or anything like that, but they're going to get a Kaweco pen, they're going to get a Faber-Castell pencil, and they are going to get the Dutch Pen Show exclusive ink as part of their registration fee for my class. I think my class is 60 euros. And I think one other ink, so people will have a couple inks to play with as we do our journaling embellishments. I also plan on bringing a Kaweco pen just because it's inexpensive. It's really easy to clip to my traveler's notebook. I actually found this when I was cleaning in preparation for the show. I had ordered this from Apple Boom when I ordered my Ladata, my Scribo Ladata. And this was on special. I think I bought that pen on Blue Monday, which is a holiday that is celebrated in the Netherlands. So there was a really good sale. And I think I ended up getting this pen for like 17 or 18 US dollars. I really liked this mellow blue. I have a little Kaweco collection. So I had forgotten all about this. So when I was cleaning, I discovered this. So I'm actually going to pack this with me. That way I have a less expensive pen that I can jot notes down throughout the day and I'm not worried about losing it as I'm like very busy putting things down, sampling inks and such. Hopefully I don't lose it, but if I were to lose this pen, it's not the end of the world. You also may want to consider how expensive you want the pens to be that you're traveling with. I know that at some pen shows, they have pen show after dark where people get together, they share their pen collections, which sounds like so much fun, but I don't know how much extra time I will have to share my collection. So for this particular pen show, I'm not planning on bringing a lot of extra. In contrast, when I go to Stationery Fest at Yoseka in August, I'm really excited about that because I can drive to this event. I've thought about getting one of those beautiful pen boxes that are made in Japan. That is something I would not want to buy in the Netherlands and then have to fly home with. And I didn't want to buy one when I was in Orlando for the same reason, but Yoseka might be a great venue for me to make any purchases of large items because I will have my car. I don't have to worry about shipping. I can just, pack my car at the end of the day and drive home from Brooklyn. So those are things to also consider. Are you flying to the venue? Are you driving? How much storage do you have? That sort of stuff. So I'm packing differently for the Dutch Pen Show than I did for Orlando. And I also have a lot more experience with pens and what I'm looking for. So I think that that is helping me as well. Okay, I think that's everything that I have as far as what I'm packing. If I think of anything else, I will add it. Let's switch gears and we will go to the overhead camera and we'll talk about how I plan on assembling my special traveler's notebook in passport size for my pen shows in 2024. Okay, so here's what I'm starting with. I'm going to try to assemble this really quickly because we're already at like 30 minutes. This I got at the Narita Airport in Tokyo on my way back from my trip, and this is going to be my first time filling it. This is the original notebook that I brought to Orlando with the notes that I shared with you. I think I'm going to skip maybe a page or two in case I have any ephemera still left over from that. And then I will start over here with the Dutch Pen Show. Like a little page that I can kind of decorate here. I have these little sticker icons that come with some of the Traveler's Notebook stuff. So I will take those in case I want to add a little something. I promised myself I wasn't going to overthink this setup. So honestly, let's just do this because give me 2 seconds and I will start to overthink. Put this little flower on the other side. And we'll put this right up here. Okay, this is a broad nib. Do we like that? That gives us a little bit of space. Okay. I don't love this, but it's really quick. I just wanted to give you an idea. This is getting a little busy, but I'm going to do it anyways. Okay, don't judge me. I just did this really, really fast. All right, so now I have the rest of this book to add little notes. Clearly, it's not going to be super aesthetic. I am going to bring this notebook as well. This is a sticker release notebook, so you can add your stickers right in here. You get a lot of stickers from different makers when you're at the show. In fact, I have a bunch from Orlando that I could add to these pages here. That's why I left some space. This is my one from Zodiac, but we're gonna start here. But I do have the stickers here so I can add them here and then later on put them in the notebook, even when I go back to my room. And then I'm also going to add this, which is a dot grid notebook. I must have gotten this. Looks like I bought this maybe at Itoya in Japan. So it just has the dot grid inside. The notebook that I'm using now is blank inside. I'm also going to bring this little folder here so I can keep business cards in here as I go. And I also have these little cards for ink samples that I'm also going to toss in here. I have this little train charm that I got in Japan. Super cute. You can really use anything for a charm. I like the way that this kind of complements the one I'm using here. In order to do that, you just have to untie this. Once you tie this, you may have to adjust it. You just want to make sure that it goes around the front, and then you have the little train there, which is really fun. Now, I am also going to add a jump band, which allows you to put more inserts in your notebook. So I'm going to take the two heaviest ones, and you're going to take this and put it through the center. So find where the staples are. Pull this back a little bit for you. Find where the staples are, and this goes right here. And then you're going to take it from this end, and you're going to find where the center is for your second notebook, and you're going to put this here. So that way you have this little effect happening here. Then what happens is you have one book that goes in the middle. In this case, I'm going to put my sticker book in the middle. Then you take your jump band, and this entire book pops through the center like this. And then they're all attached. I hope that made sense. So we have a little bit sticking out here, but once the leather softens up, it will work a little bit better. So this looks like I could probably tighten it a little bit here at the bottom. And then I still have this folder. So if I want, since I have some extra space, I just might add this to the outside and allow the folder to kind of encompass the sticker. And then I have the sticker notebook. So then I have some stickers over here, and then I have my my ink swatches there. And you can always like throw a few more embellishments in that you may want to save for later. And then close it up. I have my pencil board that I will just tuck in the back here in case I need it. Just don't want that to bend. And then I am going to wrap around, and this is what I shall bring with me to the show, just like this. Thank you everybody for sticking around. I know this was a long video. I hope that some of the stuff I shared you found helpful. If you are going to a pen show this year, or if you have been to pen shows, please leave in the comments your favorite tip for packing or for the day of the pen show. But I do have my recap video from Orlando that you might find helpful. I'll link that above or in the description. We are going to be going to London the day after the pen show, so I'm gonna be gone for a week. My husband has some work in London, so I'm hoping that I can edit some videos while I'm in London and maybe get some content out to you. The Juicy Broads are going to be live on Sunday at the pen show. I'm a little nervous for my workshop. I have a run through that I'm going to do with my good friends, and hopefully that will prepare me a little bit better for the show. Thank you all so much for watching. If you'd like to see more from me, be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit the thumbs up if you had a great time. And any of the products that I shared in today's video, I will do my best to link below. I hope you are having a great week. Take care. Bye everybody.